Hey everyone, welcome. In this explainer, we're going to take your web elements from, flat and kind of boring to something really dynamic and professional. And we're going to do it using just a couple of simple but super powerful CSS properties. So, I'm sure you've been here before, right? You get your content on the page, but it just looks flat. It doesn't really guide the user's eye. It doesn't invite you to click on anything. So how do we get from that plain old version on the left to the much more engaging, polished one on the right?
Well, what if I told you it's way simpler than you might think? The secret isn't some complex framework. It's just two fundamental CSS properties that add definition and depth. And we're going to break them down right now.
All right, let's jump right in, starting with borders. The best way to think about a border is as a frame for your content. It creates this crucial visual separation that helps users scan a page and instantly understand how all the content is grouped together. So think of creating a border like a super simple three-step recipe. You don't have to do them in this exact order, but you'll always need to define its style, its width, and of course its color.
Okay, and this is where it starts to get really fun. You've got so many styles to pick from. You could go for a clean, professional, solid line for a container, maybe something more playful like dashed if you're making a coupon, or you can even get a cool 3D effect with groove.
All right, next up is width. This is all about how much of a statement you want to make. Using border width, you can make your frame super subtle or really bold, whatever your design calls for. A thin 1-pixel border can look really elegant, while a thicker one really demands attention. It's amazing what a few pixels can do.
And of course, color. This is where you really get to inject some personality into it. With the border color property, you can match your brand's palette, create some amazing contrast to draw the eye. You can really make the element your own. Sharp corners can feel a little harsh, a little digital. To soften that whole look, you can use border radius. And this is more than just looking nice. Rounded corners are actually easier for our eyes to process, and they give your design this more modern, friendly, and approachable feel. So writing 3 different lines for one border totally works, but let me show you a more efficient, kind of pro-level way to get this done.
Instead of writing out border style, border width, and border color every single time, CSS gives us this awesome tool called a shorthand property. It's basically a secret weapon for writing code that's cleaner and just easier to manage.
And look at that, it's so clean, just one line. The syntax is simple, just border, and then you list the width, the style, and the color. It's way faster to write and so much easier to read when you come back to your code later. Just remember, border radius is still its own separate thing.
Okay, but what if you don't want a full frame? What if you just want, say, an underline for a header, or maybe something to show which tab is active in a navigation bar? No problem at all. You can use directional properties like border bottom to target each side individually. Now that our element has a nice frame, let's give it some real dimension. Let's make it feel like it's kind of floating, lifting right off the page. This is what creates visual hierarchy, and it subtly tells the user, hey, this is important, or this is something you can click on. It's time to talk about shadows.
Okay, text shadow can look a little scary at first, I get it, but it's really just built on 4 simple ideas. You've got your horizontal and vertical offsets to position the shadow, a blur radius to control how soft or sharp it is, and then of course, the color.
So here's a perfect example. That code right there, it's shifting the shadow 3 pixels to the right, 3 pixels down, it's got a 5-pixel blur for a nice soft edge, and it's black. See how that instantly adds style and makes the text way easier to read, especially if it's on a busy background.
And here's a really cool trick. This is a total pro tip. You can actually stack shadows on the exact same text. All you do is separate each set of values with a comma. This opens up all sorts of possibilities for really creative looks, like glows or even multicolored outlines.
And you know what the best part is? Once you get text shadow, you pretty much already know how to do box shadow for a whole element. It uses the exact same logic, the same syntax, horizontal offset, vertical offset, blur, and color. It's like a 2-for-1 deal.
Wow, okay, we've covered a lot pretty quickly. So let's just do a quick recap of the powerful new tools you now have in your styling toolkit to make your user experiences way better.
Seriously, with just these 4 properties, you have everything you need. This is your foundation, your basic toolkit for adding that professional-grade definition and depth to literally any element. This is how you take any design from just plain to polished.
So now you've got the skills, right? You know how to define edges, soften corners, and create this amazing sense of depth. With these simple but incredibly powerful building blocks,
The possibilities for creating beautiful, dynamic, and engaging interfaces are, well, they're endless. So my question to you is, what will you create?